Welcome to this week's episode of Devil's Trap Podcast. I'm Diana.
And I'm Liz.
And we're going to talk about season 12, episode 10. Lily Sunder Has Some Regrets.
No regerts.
No regrets.
No regerts at all.
Oh, well, Liz, what have you been up to?
Say something fascinating, Liz. Say something fascinating. I have nothing.
Nothing.
Oh, I hung upside down by my feet last night on fabric, which was hard. I also hung upside down by my feet on hoop. Yeah, from a lot of things, I was hanging by my feet last night. So my feet are kind of bruised on top, but they kind of have a permanent bruise on them right now. So that's about as exciting. I'm learning to, what's that word? So ambidextrous is using both hands, and prehensile, when you're learning how to use your feet for different things.
I just know about a prehensile tail. I don't know about
prehensile. Oh, I wish I had a prehensile tail. I'm so, man, if I could grow a tail, I'd be so happy.
That's the body mod you'd go for if you could.
That is a body mod I would go for. Not in a furry way, I don't think. No. I don't know. I don't know what kind of tail I would grow.
That's a tough one.
That's a tough one to think about. There's so many different options you could go with.
There really are.
But then you have to do, like, do you keep it inside your pants, or do you cut a hole?
That is the question.
So what have you been up to? Are you cutting holes in your pants for your tail?
I have not been doing that. But I did. I went to a minor league hockey game, and that was pretty fun. And they had little tiny Brahmas that you throw at them because the team is the Brahmas. But they were playing. It was the Lone Star Brahmas in their Tarrant County, but they were playing against the Odessa Jackalopes, and it really made me sad to root against the Jackalopes because I was rooting for the home team.
Did the Jackalopes have merch?
I did not see their merch. I checked, but Brahmas had
it'd be
good
cool
merch.
if I wouldn't throw the Jackalopes. I would keep those.
Yeah,
we should travel up to one of their games. I don't want to go to Odessa. I'm just fucking kidding. No way I'm going to Odessa. But I do have a friend who lives there, so I can have them go to the game and send me stuff.
Search for merch, yeah. So, and then we just had some family stuff. So yeah, I guess I feel like there's something else in the mix there. I don't know.
You went to Houston?
I've been to Chili's, and I went to a Dave & Buster's I went to Chili's. I went to Dave & Buster's in Houston. I went to a bowling alley in Dallas. I've been all over the place. I've been a busy little bee. Though granted, I could not bowl because of my knee surgery, and I did not play a lot of video games because there was a flight of stairs between me and them.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So either way, I am getting better, but yeah, not there yet. So
you're on the mend, which is great. You can regenerate and regrow yourself.
Something like that. But yeah. Well, Liz and I were discussing that there is no news in supernatural world to share with you this week. It is a very quiet place.
So quiet. I mean, my news alerts are repeating the same stories. And sometimes it brings up things that I didn't know. Like, there's going to be a boys video game. Okay. So I learned that, but that was news like 16 weeks ago. Like, it was like digging through things like, what can I find about Jensen Ackles? But I mean, conventions are still going, so those things are happening. So go see them. Still, Jared will show up when his leg heals.
Right.
Come on, paddle. I'm just gonna keep trolling him until he comes on. So, anyways, someday we'll find out why he broke his leg. Someday. Or we'll have more news. The new episodes of The Voice will come out, and we'll have that to talk about. That will happen sometime in 2026. So, all right. Well, let's talk about Supernatural. And this one, Lily Sunder Has Some Regrets. This was season 12, episode 10, and aired February 2nd, 2017. It was directed by Thomas J. Wright, who this season did Mamma Mia, and last season we saw the do Devil in the Details and All in the Family. It was written by Steve Yockey, and the season we saw him doing Celebrating the Life of Asa Fox, that banger of an episode that has traumatized us all. So and so we start off with our recap, and we get the very first time that we met Cass, which is just like, oh, look at little baby Misha. He was so young in his little coat. The first time you put it on is adorable. And Cass is telling us how angels are dicks. And then we go up to POTUS and Nephilim, Kelly Klein, the pact with Billy, then breaking the pact, and consequences and what poor Billy getting stabbed. And then we go to something that is very popular in Mideast cities, and that is an arcade bar. And this bar is actually called Megabyte.
It is. And there's more and more of those around right now, too. They're pretty popular, too. Here, there's a few in Dallas here, I know. But yeah, so we've got a chick playing Rampage. So it's like vintage video games, too. So it's super fun. And apparently the bartender's like, we're closing. And apparently she beats the game every night. And so the bartender's like, I'm going to take the trash out and then I'm unplugging. Sorry. And so while the bartender's gone, a redhead chick with an eye patch appears and tells the chick that's playing the video game that you're too old for video games. And they exchange some real snarky words back and forth. It's just real weird. It's like someone like, you're playing a video game, you're in zone, you're just gonna beat your game. And someone comes up and they're like, you're too old for video games. And they have this like exchange, and then they get in a big fight.
Yeah. And the player apparently tries some hand flinging, and we learn their name is Benjamin, and that they have an angel blade. But what's better than one angel blade? 2 angel blades.
Yeah, this eye patch, as I call her, has 2 angel blades. Benjamin has 1, and we get a big fight. And eye patch pins Benjamin. And anyways, and so Benjamin's doing like this incantation, and like basically apparently the lights are flickering, and eye patch is really, really happy because this means that they are calling their angel friends.
Yeah, and so they're speaking Enochian, and the people, we're seeing the different people that they're calling, and that includes Castiel, and yeah, and then Eye Patch stabs Benjamin and walks away and doesn't bother to pick up the angel blades that are on the floor.
Super weird, right?
And I know it comes back later, and then I'm like, okay, I guess that's kind of why they did it, but I don't know. I have a thing about the angel blades in this episode.
That's weird, right?
I just kind of got fixated on them. So we go from there to the bunker, and we see the murder board is just covered with Kelly.
Yes. So Sam and Dean are looking at this because Castiel has built this murder board.
Way to go, Cass. He's doing crafts.
Look at him. And they're discussing, though, that she's just dropped off the map and that kind of Cass hasn't been able to find her. So then the conversation pivots really quickly over to Mary. And Dean's like, oh, yeah, she called. She's after a shapeshifter in Atlanta, but she doesn't want our help. She's got it. He's all irritated. And she jumped back in too soon. And Sam's like, I'm not really worried about our mom. I'm sure she's fine. But have you talked to Cass? Because this is getting awkward about the whole thing with Billy.
Right. So apparently Dean and Cass are in the bunker, and they're just giving each other the silent treatment, and it's really awkward, and nobody likes living in the same place and not being able to talk to somebody. It's just so much fun. So Dean's just like, look, man, I am afraid of the cosmic consequences, which will not be a Dean Winchester classic quote of jelly beans and G-strings.
Well, Cass overhears all this, and he comes in and he's like, I know I was doing the right thing. I'm sure of it. And by the way, I'm leaving not because I have a lead on Kelly. I've got an angel friend that called for help. So Dean's like, well, angel radio. And Cass is like, no, actually it's a specific friend call, and they were begging for help, and then they went silent. So I need to find out if they're still alive. And Sam's kind of like, oh shit, do you want us to come with you, please? So they end up all going, even though Dean's not super thrilled. But he says they're going to go to make sure that Cass doesn't do anything else stupid.
So they get into Baby, and Sam is calling out the awkward. And he tries to get music, but he gets shot down by Dean. And Sam asks Cass if, is like, is there any, he's just, what, I'm just going to change the subject, and we're just going to talk about our mission. So is there anything that I should know about what we're walking into? And again, Cass is giving the silent treatment, and Sam is just like, the silent treatment is stupid, and we need a plan.
Yes. And so finally he's like, what do y'all want to know? Benjamin wouldn't call for help lightly, and they also aren't the type that would put themselves in harm's way. Dean's like, now we're gonna get sarcastic because Dean's gonna like, oh, how nice that is. How that must be and so thoughtful not to make knee-jerk decisions like that. And Cass gets freaking snarky back about, oh, how you're being real sarcastic. And Benjamin's sarcasm is better. And anyway, so it's just a lot.
It's a lot, but he's giving us some different sides of Benjamin, and we also get to learn that Benjamin's vessel was a very special vessel and was powerful and devout and was really such like an important kind of vessel that Benjamin would have been really, really careful with it and not just let anything happen to it. Which is at this point, I'm like, y'all should have called this episode all about the Benjamins, and you lost that. Yeah, you missed out. So we go from there back to we go to a motel, and there is Eye Patch, and she's laying on a bed and she's chanting in Enochian.
Yeah. And we see like a table with witchy stuff and angel blades, and then we cut away.
Yep, and we go back to, I just want to call it Barcade because that's what all of them are called for the most part. So we go to Barcade, even though Megabyte is a good name.
It is a good name.
But and once I hate
especially
the fact
if they have food.
Especially, yeah.
Anyways.
And I can't help it that I get happy every time an angel dies and their wings are on the ground because I think it's cool and pretty. And Cass is sad because that means his friend is dead. But I'm like, look at the sad wings.
The sad, pretty wings. They are. So Sam's.
But I also don't understand how they have wings when they die if they don't have wings, because they brought up in this episode that they don't have. So how do they have wings with? Damn it! This episode really drives me nuts. Okay, go on. Sorry.
Maybe it's from their grace. Is it grace wings? I don't fucking know. Oh, well,
it's not. You're messing. It's not right.
The canon doesn't make sense.
Follow the lines, man. Follow the lines. Anyways, so.
Yeah.
So the bartenders
and all the writers should be following the same rule book. Yeah.
Yeah. So the bartender thinks like this is maybe a cult thing, and Cass has just had enough. Get out. Get out.
He's over it. He's over it because this is obviously not just a regular old stabbing. And so Cass tells Sam and Dean that Benjamin was a really good soldier. So this is extra shocking. And this is when Dean locates an angel blade under the table. Angel on angel action, because it's not Benjamin's blade.
Right. So it's clearly, this is Eye Patch's blade. But so did she just collect them? Because she seemed to have more than one in that motel.
She seemed to have a stack.
Or maybe she's just collecting them from the ones that she's killed. But then he was, okay, I don't know.
It's confusing.
I wish they just had their names on them or something, and then I could they just scratch that this belongs to, and then I could figure this out a little bit better.
Just have a serial number and then code them.
Yes, thank you. An RFID scanner, and I'll just go by and we'll find out who owns it, or light up like a lightsaber or something. Anyway, so he does. Cass is going to do some mind stuff, and that gets Eye Patch's attention,
I guess. Or I thought he hears her chanting. I thought he heard her incantation because she killed this one knowing they were calling friends, and now she's just putting the call out to see if she can catch another one. That's what I thought happened.
I don't know, because I don't speak Enochian and they didn't translate it. So I don't know what the big fuck could be. They could be giving us a recipe for banana pudding. I don't know.
I mean, that would be great, right?
It would be nice.
I had banana pudding last week. It was really good.
Nice. All right. So, yeah. So Eye Patch has sat up and says Cass's name. And Cass is like, whoops, gotta go. And then Eye Patch is like, I have a picture of a Victorian ghost child and I'm going to kiss it. And then we're going to go.
Yes. So Sam and Dean and Castiel are going to go meet Isham, who is, he was in the same battalion with Benjamin and Castiel, but he does not like humans.
And he was the boss of them.
Yeah. Yes. And he does not like humans. So, and he asked Castiel to come alone.
Which is also just never a good sign, right? Don't bring your friends. I don't like that.
If you're a good guy, come on now. That's what bad guys say.
Right. And so when we go in there, we see that he's one of the ones that we were flashing through before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there's a woman with him too. And he comments, Castiel observes that these are the same vessels they've had for a very long time. And she makes the woman, we find out later her name is Mirabelle, but I'm going to go for it now. Makes a snarky comment about not having their wings and it's harder to get places. And basically everything's snark against Cass, this whole conversation.
Yeah. Okay.
Mirabelle and Isham don't like Cass.
No angels like Cass. That's just a general thing because he's
not
done a lot of stuff to them. He's
He
not a
has.
great. And so, but this was the because there's also another Benjamin that was mentioned in another episode that was a different Benjamin that was in a unit with. So apparently, there was even more than one Benjamin.
That's confusing.
But I know. But so this is Cass's squad. That was his squad before that squad. Before, and so this was his pre-apocalypse squad.
Yes.
But I don't know. So somehow in his timeline, because we've also find out that Cass had another vessel, and which we'll find out what it is later, which is great. But so we find out that Cass had another vessel, and also then beyond the snark you said that about the wings, then Isham's also bringing up that Balthasar and Uriel are both dead too.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, the other people that basically it's like, oh, Cass is like, I'm not a hero, but sometimes you have to make sacrifices, and he's like, yeah, sometimes it seems like it's other angels sacrificing themselves for you.
Wrong. I mean, Cass is the one who's alive, and the angels are the ones that are dead.
Yeah.
But because he cannot just wait outside like he's told to, Dean Winchester pulls a Dean and storms in.
I like Sam's countdown for it too. Sam's like, oh, here we go. Can't help himself. And what I love also is that Sam and Dean scooch into the booth next to Cass, and it's very crowded, and it's kind of funny.
It's very crowded because they're all very large men, and they're in a very tiny booth.
And he's like, Mirabelle, you need to go look outside for others. And so she goes, which is a stupid, why, what? I don't know. Anyway, so she goes outside to look for people following them and gets to the alley and gets stabbed by Eye Patch.
Yeah, no warning, nothing, just a bam! Like, oh shit, she just took her out. So Mirabelle's out.
Mirabelle's gone. And back inside the diner, Dean's asking about pie because duh.
I mean, you're in a diner. What else are you going to do? Maybe ask for disco fries. But
it's disco fries, coffee, or pie, or all of the above.
There could be an order of those things. So Isham has a sugar fetish.
It's pretty funny. It's a really good little. I know they don't get to carry it on, a little character quirk that they get to do real fast here. I appreciate that. Isham continues talking shit to Cass, but now Sam and Dean are there, and after they get called, after refers to Castiel as with his ratty old coat and his pair of poorly trained monkeys, Dean snaps at him and tells him to go to hell.
Isham really gets into the primate and monkey calling about humans. It's really into it. And it's just not attractive, sir.
No. And Cass is just trying to calm everybody down because this is about Benjamin. But Isham's
all about the Benjamins.
All about the Benjamins. But Isham's like, that's true, but really we just need to go somewhere more private. We're gonna go to my safe house. So he's gonna go look for Mirabelle, who he sent out by herself for no good reason to an alley. And he finds her, he throws cash on the table before he does this and tells Dean to order pie. Dean considers it. Anyways, Isham, it goes out to the alley and finds a dead Mirabelle. And then he gets attacked by Eye Patch and he fights back and he tries to smite her and cannot. It is a failed smiting.
He cannot smote. He has a smiting dysfunction. He has SD. And she says that she isn't powerless anymore. And it feels very female empowering as she's standing up for herself. But then Cass is there and he gets a hit in. And then we get a flashback kind of to a more Western-y time.
Because he recognizes her. But then we flash away from that really fast. So Sam and Dean come around the corner and Dean pulls a gun and she's like, look, I don't want to harm any human. I just want to finish what I started. And Dana says, ain't gonna happen, Patches. It's so dumb. Sorry.
But so she raises her hand and she glows, and then she's like, bye, and takes off in a convertible.
She does. She glows and then she takes off in a white Mustang convertible. I was very amused. Oh,
yeah. So, and by this point, yeah, we're starting to get sort of this Kill Bill reference. Like, it's partially just because of how she's dressing and like the She Has No Regrets. And I looked to see if there was any like back story, but if they was that just like a word, like a costume choice, because they don't really mention it, right? But she does kind of seem like with the angel. I don't know. It's a look.
She's committed to a look, but it's kind of sooty, and some of the angels in heaven were real sooty, so maybe it's a nod to that. I don't know.
I'm not sure, but okay, well, we'll ponder that some more. So we go from there to the safe house, which is a church,
like an abandoned church, and so Castiel really wants to heal Isham's wound, and then asks Isham how she's still alive. Sam's like, wait, you know her? So now we know that Castiel and Isham know this woman that is trying to fucking kill them. And this is where Castiel's like, oh, before the apocalypse, angels rarely came to Earth, except like once, and this was an anomaly.
And this time we're going to flash back to Orono Maine in 1901. And we see the angels, and Castiel is indeed in another vessel. And he is a very attractive woman.
Yes.
And then we see Benjamin, who is complaining about how wet Earth is.
Yes. And Isham and Mirabelle are there, and they're asking why they're there, and Isham's like, oh, I followed this angel. We were following this angel who took a human wife, and they had a daughter.
And they made a Nephilim. And a couple of episodes ago, I said we would get back to Nephilims. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to get back to Nephilims now. And so it's lore. So Nephilim, what exactly, besides being fun to say, depends on which books you think of the Bible are real, and also how ancient languages are interpreted, which apparently is kind of hard. But I would argue that the most popular versions of the Nephilim lore is that they are the product of angels and humans having sex. And they are one of the reasons that God flooded the earth and Noah had to build an ark. That's one of the most popular versions of it. And the word Nephilim has been translated to fallen, those who have fallen, violent ones, those who attack, and giants. And they are mentioned ambiguously in the book of Genesis and Numbers. And according to Wikipedia, a similar identical biblical Hebrew term known as Nephilim by some scholars and the word fallen by others appears in these other books that are in the Deuterocanonical books. And I really just wanted to say Deuterocanonical. Those are a collection of books that are considered to be part of the Old Testament by some churches, including the Catholic Church and the Eastern Orthodox Church. We just don't really read about them. I think it's probably because you don't have you can print out one Bible and put it in the pews, but you can't print out all these extra books. I think the Bible would just be but anyway, so there's a whole bunch of books that, a lot of Christian scholars believe tell other stories that we just don't really, they're not part of the King James Version, right? So the book of Enoch, that describes Nephilim as great giants whose heights were 300 cubits, which is the length of a forearm. I don't know whose forearm, but that's what a cubit is. And so 300 of those was how tall that the Nephilim were. And these giants consumed the produce of all the people until the people detested feeding them. So the giants turned against the people in order to eat them. And then they began to sin against birds, wild beasts, reptiles, and fish. And their flesh was devoured the one by the other, and they drank blood. And then the earth brought an accusation against the oppressors. So that doesn't sound really nice.
No, sounds bad.
In the book of Jubilees, that states the idea about God flooding the earth because of them. And in there, they're referred to as evil giants. There are, To believe that Nephilim are not the result of angels intermixing with humans, but instead are the descendants of the mixture of the Seth and Cain lines, as the lineage of Seth was called the sons of God because they made a covenant, and the daughters of men were the descendants of Cain, or anyone who didn't believe in God.
Oh, so it's
Like
a little
that,
bit less literal.
less giant, more we're talking about descendants from
Ancient bloodline as opposed
bloodlines,
to
yeah.
an ancient bloodlines as opposed to
Evil
angel
giants.
babies,
Right.
evil giant babies.
Yeah. And there are just those who believe the Bible is literal. And if it says they were giants, and dadgummit, they were giants. And these people have always existed. And in the 1800s, one of these people irritated someone enough that they caused a hoax we're still talking about today. And that's the hoax of the Cardiff Giant. I just wanted to expand on some of the Nephilim lore by kind of talking about this thing that happened in the 1800s. So in October of 1869, farmer named Stub Newell hired some men to dig a well for him on his property in Cardiff, New York, a small town south of Syracuse. Now, Cardiff is on what has been termed the Broad Psychic Highway, and this is a 300-mile stretch of land which during the 1800s had already witnessed the end of the world Millerites, the Shakers, the Fox sisters, and all the spiritualists. Not to mention Joseph Smith was there finding his tablets and starting the Mormon church. So like great, the second great awakening was there. So all of these people are having revivals. So they're kind of ramped for some good stuff, right? So as these workers are digging for this well, they hit something solid about 3 feet down. And what they end up unearthing was what appeared to be a giant petrified man. Now, because this was the 1800s and there was fuck all to do, people began to gather on the farm to get a look and make their opinions known. People erected a tent and charged at first 25 cents, then 50 cents to see the person to see the giant man. Hundreds came, and soon there was a food tent, a carriage service, and a cider stand.
There was.
I hope it was hard cider too. Newspaper headlines read, "A wonderful discovery, a new wonder, the petrified giant." Guidebooks with the giant's measurements were printed by at least 3 different authentic original sources. Within 3 weeks, they collected over $7,000 in admission fees, and over 32,000 people had come to see this giant. Because it was such a tourist draw, a group of Syracuse businessmen paid Newell $37,000 for a 3/4 interest in the giant. And then they moved it to Syracuse, where then 60,000 people came to see it. P.T. Barnum came and he offered $50,000 for the giant, but he was turned down. So he ended up making his own giant and displayed it in New York City at Wood's Museum, saying that he had the true giant and the one in Cardiff was a fake. And then outside of Barnum's exhibit, the signs were like, what is it? Is it a statue? Is it a petrification? Is it a stupendous fraud? Yes.
It's fraud.
So this inspired one of the Syracuse investors to be quoted as saying, "There's a sucker born every minute." And that phrase gets attributed to P.T. Barnum. It was just about him. But so that's where that comes from. So the investors tried to get an injunction against Barnum, but the court said, "Bring your giant here, and if he swears to his own genuineness as a bona fide petrification, you shall have the injunction you ask for." So basically saying you can't bring your fake giant here to say that this other giant is a fake, So the Cardiff Giant then went on to be displayed in New York a few blocks away from Barnum's giant. And so like a Starbucks, right? So you can go see a giant on one corner and then go see a giant on another corner.
Giants on every corner.
Giants on every corner. From there, it went to Boston, where Ralph Waldo Emerson came to see it, and he said it was beyond his depth, very wonderful and undoubtedly ancient. Oliver Wendell Holmes went and saw it, and he put a hole in the back of its left ear, which is still there. And people thought from the beginning that this was a fraud, right? Although what kind of fraud it was the debate. And it's interesting to note that this was a time where people were trying hard to prove the prehistory of America, the idea that other people besides Native Americans had lived on or visited America before the Europeans came. And this had influenced some of that speculation. But the most popular guess was that it was a sculpture. A science lecturer from Syracuse suggested that French Jesuits carved it or to impress the Native Americans. So in reality, it was a sculpture that was made out of gypsum, a soft stone. And this was all the brainchild of a man named George Hull, who confessed to the hoax in December of 1869. So just a couple of months after this had happened. And George, who was a hardcore atheist, had gotten into an argument with a fundamentalist named Reverend Turk, who insisted the Bible was literal and that giants must have existed at some point, and just refused to give up the idea that giants were real. And this irritated Hull so much that he lay awake wondering why people would believe such remarkable stories in the Bible about giants, when I suddenly thought of making a stone giant and passing it off as a petrified man. People were so bored back then. So
right? It seems like a lot of work.
And a lot of
internet's for
wait till you see how much money he spends on this too. So committing to this bit, he bought a 5-ton block of gypsum, and he had to keep lying to people about why he needed it, right? Because he can't say I'm going to do a hoax and make a petrified man. So be like, I'm going to make a statue. It's a monument, and it's also 5 tons, and so it's so heavy it destroyed wagons and bridges on its way to the railroad. It was wearing out all the horses. It finally gets shipped to a sculptor in Chicago who had been sworn to secrecy, and the sculptor and his assistants proceeded to carve a 10-foot man in the likeness of George Hull. So they make it look like the guy that is causing the hoax. And so it's very detailed with nostrils, nails, an Adam's apple, ribs, and a huge veiny penis. Its left leg twists over the right, and some say it looks like he thinks it's holding his stomach in pain, but I really think it looks like it's holding its dick. So when you look at the picture, you'll be like, yeah, I think I know what he's doing here. So Hull applied acid to age the carving, and then also used kneading needles across the surface to imitate the look of skin pores. So basically went across and like a million times to make it look like it had pores. Originally, he had put hair and beard on it, but he found out that those wouldn't petrify. So he's like, okay, so they had to take that off. So then they had to get the giant, because it was in Chicago, right? So they shipped it to Union via railroad in an iron strap box. Then they brought it secretly from Union, New York to the Newell farm, where it was buried in 1868, all with Stubb Newell's knowledge. So curious onlookers who did see, like, because it's a giant, now it's 3 tons. It's a giant 10-foot man in a box. Like, how the fuck are you hiding? Like, look over here. So some people thought it was a tobacco press. Some said it was casting. Some said it was a soldier's monument. Most thought it was tobacco, which was contraband at the time. So that's why they're like, oh, look over there.
I didn't
right?
see it. Yeah.
So in February of 1870, the Chicago Tribune printed an expose, although that didn't deter the public from continuing to go to see the giant, who some called Old Hoaxy. This was the time
That's amazing. Old Hoaxy.
Old Hoaxy.
I like it.
Yeah, this is a time of hoaxes and humbugs. And in Barnum's American Museum, he intermingled real and fake objects and would ask the visitors to determine what the genuine things were. And again, people are really bored and just want to look at stuff. So even if it's fake, it's like it's a fake giant 10-foot man with a big dick. And
they didn't have the internet or television. I mean,
what else were you going to do on your Saturday? Plow your field? Like, no, I'm sorry, I'm going to go look at a giant statue. Yeah. So he would go on to go be exhibited at various fairs and expositions, even after everybody knew like this was not a petrified man. But eventually it would end up as a coffee table in an Iowa man's basement before being sold to the Farmers Museum in Cooperstown, New York, where it is to this day. And the copy is supposedly at a museum in Michigan, and there's a third copy, and I forget where that one's at. But so people got really into making petrified men. George Hull tried to make a second one, and this one had a monkey's tail, but that one did not pass muster and didn't make the same splash that the Cardiff Giant did. Yeah.
Ah, dang.
All right. So that is Nephilim and the Cardiff Giant.
They talk about how powerful they are, but they don't really talk about them being giants in so far here.
Well, and that's no, they don't. That's one of the things that kind of gets out of this lore is they don't. I mean, we don't know. We haven't really. We've talked about Nephilim, but we haven't seen one yet.
They hint around it, and they just be like,
Right.
"Oh, they're powerful." Ooh.
So yeah, so they could be giants, but we haven't seen one yet. So
they might be giants.
They might be giants.
Sorry.
They might be giants. All right. So. All right, so they are now we're in 19. We're in just kind of the times 1901, kind of we're sort of not far from where we just were in time. But so everyone's got a lot of hats, they've got a lot of like very pretentious clothes on, and they're there to set things right. And as they're walking up to the house, others join them too. So there's more of them showing up.
Yeah, and they've all agreed that this is, you know, dangerous and forbidden. And Benjamin's even kind of like, we're here for a kid. Like, ooh, oh no. And Castiel's like, well, they grow up and grow into their power. It's dangerous, you know. And Mirabelle's like, yeah, worlds die. So Isham's like, we are going to set things right. So Achabel, man, comes out on the front porch to meet them. And he is joined by pre-Eye Patch.
I have like, her name is Lily. It was like Eye Patch comes out with both eyes. What the fuck do I call her now?
Well, we learned around here, I think we start learning her name is Lily, pre-Eye Patch. And they're out on the porch. And he's like, you need to go inside. And he whispers something to her. And then Achabel's like, tells the angels, he's like, you have no business here. And we know that he's an angel, right? And
you can tell by his hair.
That's the giveaway. And Isham's like, you were sent to observe humanity and you took up with a filthy animal. Blah.
Yeah, so he says some nasty things, and Achabel stands up for humans. And Castiel then tells Achabel that he fathered a Nephilim, and the penalty is stab, death.
Well, what's interesting is so Castiel does that, and when he says he fathered a Nephilim, you see Achabel go, what? And then then Isham stabs him before anything else can.
Yeah, so like just like death. And so we get there's no jury, judge, you just like, nope, you just dead. So and Isham's like, get rid of the vessel, and the next part he's gonna do alone. And then we're all just like really distressed about what's happening.
Because he goes into the house and we hear a woman scream, and then we hear a child scream. Not good. So back at the abandoned church, Castiel is saying, well, we completed the mission. It was necessary and it was right. And Sam's like, who was the woman? And there Isham explains it was Lily Sunder.
And she was a professor of apocalyptic literature. Yes, please. Like, where the fuck can I make? Actually, I did see that as a major at some religious studies. But yeah, I want to be a professor of apocalyptic literature. That sounds awesome. And so she studied angels and she spoke fluent Enochian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he's like, I took mercy and I let her live, but she made a demonic pact to stay young and blah. Okay. So Dean's like, well, let's go. I'm going to go find her. Maybe she's not after me and Sam. Maybe we can reason with her. And Cass is like, Four Dead Angels says that she might not be someone to reason with, but we need all of us to fight her. So maybe that's a bad plan. I need to heal Isham. And Sam's like, but you killed her family. So like,
yeah. So what?
Maybe, but like, you know, but different now.
And then Cass is like, what? So all the angels deserve to die? Like, what the fuck? And so Sam's like, okay, let's try talking it out. How about that? Let's try and talk it out. And Angel's like, I don't think we can talk it out anymore, but you know, let's just gotta try.
And Castiel's like, it won't work. She's not going to quit. Would you quit? Sam's like, well, we got to try. So they decide they are going to do this. And we cut to a scene of Lily healing herself in a mirror because she was cut on the stomach. And then we cut back to Castiel and Isham. And Isham is just still talking shit about Sam and Dean, about how they're supposed to stay away from humans, they're dangerous. And Cass is like, my relationship with them made me stronger. And then he heals Isham. And he obviously gets really weak from this.
which probably isn't the best idea, as we are starting to learn things. So maybe you should have weakened yourself. So at the motel, Sam has tracked Lily down via her rental car, and they run into Lily in the hallway, who now has two blades.
She's got two blades again. Sam's like, we're here to talk. We want peace. We come in peace. We heard what happened to your family. And Dean's like, yeah, and Cass is our family, and we can't let you hurt him. So they all agree they don't want to hurt each other, and they can theoretically talk. But Sam's like, it's not Cass's fault that heaven has a crazy rule about Nephilim and your daughter. And Lily is like tearing up a little bit, and she's kind of incredulous. And she says her name was May and she was beautiful. And we get a flashback again to Akabel, Lily, and May together. And she's got a creepy doll in the picture of her, and she's playing with the creepy doll here, the little girl May.
And even Akabel is like, that doll is fucking creepy.
Yes! And then Lily says her father gave it to her. Ooh. And so Lily's like, I had a wonderful life and they took everything. So we cut back again, another flashback, and Lily is with Akabel. We see them on the porch, the scene we saw before. But when he whispered something to her, it said, take May and run. And the inside, she was trying to gather papers, and she didn't grab May and run fast enough. So Isham enters, and she's talking, and so Isham's there, but Lily's explaining that all her life she dreamed about angels, and she studied them. It was her life's work, and she learned a spell to summon them, and that's how she met Isham. And she thought he was divine and perfect. Ugh.
But he was a monster. He was obsessed with her. And so he just became a possessive stalker. And he blamed Akabel for everything, and that she needed him for protection.
Yeah, it was awful. And she's like, what, you killed him and now you're going to kill me? And Isham says, no, you broke my heart, so I'm going to break yours. Oh, fucked, man.
It's so mean. And he angel flings Lily away, and that's when he tells her that she's powerless.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so it's like the worst thing you can ever say to a woman anyways.
We don't see it, but he pulls May to it.
Yeah.
And it's implied that he kills May in front of
her
as she screams, which is fucking awful. And she explains to Sam and Dean back in the present time that she had her daughter before she ever even saw an angel.
And she was human. And so now we figure out that was not a Nephilim that anybody killed. That was just a little fucking girl. Angels are dicks. Angels are dicks.
Back at the abandoned church, Isham and Cass are there, and Isham's like fucking doing push-ups with one hand and talking how good he feels, while Castiel is like crashing out. And that's when he realized that he left his phone somewhere. So he's trying to find his phone. So that's why he didn't answer when fucking Dean called. But Sam asked Lily why she waited so long for revenge. And I think it's a good question, because she's like, I didn't have a choice. I needed the angels to fall. They lost their wings because I couldn't hunt them before.
They lost their wings! Sorry.
But then their wings show up when they die. I know. It makes no sense. I agree. Are they conceptual wings that burn in the ground? Is that upsetting?
Yeah, but she was just like, she couldn't track them down. But you would be surprised what a person can do with a little bit of purpose and abundance of time. And that is really true and frightening, because that's how you get the Unabomber. Anyway, so Sam or Lily Sunder. So Sam picks up an angel blade, and he was like, why do you have all these angel blades? Where the fuck are these coming from? What the fuck? Do you have like an angel blade claw machine? What the hell is going on?
And she's, well, it's not exactly, but close.
That's not what happens, but you know what sweet thinking.
Yeah. And she's like, well, I studied angels my whole long life, so I learned how to use their magic to fight and to hear them and to stay alive. So Lily is like studying angel magic with her knowledge of Enochian. And she says that if, you just have to be willing to pay the price. And she points at her eye patch when she says that. She says, every time I use a spell, a piece of my soul burns away.
And apparently her soul is in her eyeball.
I don't know. It makes no sense, but okay.
Well, I mean, think about like when other people have leverage, like when they use like Bobby's soul to I don't remember what they were doing with it, but that was generally through the chest and through the belly. That wasn't in an eyeball, so it's just it's an interesting
That
thing.
part's a weird tie. Like that little
That's
piece of
a
the
weird.
storyline's
I
odd.
think that's a weird choice that they made, but eventually what is going to happen is that she is going to be soulless, and as we know, like, and this is, kind of the rub of it too, right? She's going to get her revenge, and she's getting her revenge because they took away something that was human, and but by getting her revenge she will no longer be human.
Woo!
What a
Woo!
ride, man. What a ride.
Yeah.
And Sam's just like, because Sam knows about this, right?
Yeah.
He knows.
He's been soulless. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that she's like, I used to dream about my, I don't like it. I think it was a telling line. That sounds gross. But she's like, I used to dream about my daughter every night. Now I dream about nothing.
Dreaming about nothing sounds fucking fantastic. I would love to dream about nothing.
And she's like, but also when Dean confronts Isham's going to kill him. He's got too much to lose in heaven if the truth comes out. And when your brother dies, you won't stand in my way. You'll help me, and I can wait.
Yep, because she has learned to be patient. And she's not also, again, that's exactly what would happen.
Damn.
So Dean does find Cass, and he tells him the daughter was a human story and that Isham is playing him. But unfortunately, neighbors have really bad luck with people eavesdropping on them.
Good Lord, they do. Oh my
God.
god.
Or just walking in on them while they're talking about them. So Isham's like, what's up?
And Castiel's pissed. He's like, is this true? And Isham's like, it's lies because humans lie. That's my story.
Makes another monkey reference, and then
filthy apes, blah blah blah. Who you're gonna question my choices? Okay, fucking tough guy. So C pushes, and Isham's just punching the shit out of Castiel. He's like, and we're gonna get a mini monologue where he's like, you went to hell, you were chosen by God, I was jealous, but you're sad and weak and blah blah blah, and I'm gonna cure you of your human weakness like I cured my own by cutting it out, because he's gonna go kill Dean.
Yep. And Dean has made a sigil with his blood, which is smart. But unfortunately, because Cass is so weak, because he was healing fucking Isham's just like, look, if you use that sigil, Cass isn't going to survive. He's just going to splat somewhere. Because remember, like, we found out last time that they just kind of like get flung and get splatted somewhere.
Yeah. So not good. Well, so Dean hesitates, and Lily and Sam show up. And so she is going to fight Isham, and Sam's going to go to Dean, and they both jump in and start help the fight. And Lily pulls off the eye patch. Now we see what she was hiding under there.
And it's
a glowy white eye, milky glowy.
Yeah, and she just yells, I will never be powerless again. And it's time for the hand, Isham. And she just puts her hand up, and he tries to fight her soul magic, and he can't. And just when he's almost there, Cass stabs him.
He tells Lily, you held him for long enough. Yeah. And so she puts her eye patch back on. So, yeah.
Isham is there, dead on the ground, with wings.
After not having wings.
Lost his wings, but there they are. They're right there on the ground. So, and then they were like, so are you done? What you gonna do now?
What's next? What do you do now? And she's like, well, revenge is all I've had for over 100 years. So Dean's like, wrong answer. But Castiel apologizes. And then he apologizes. He acknowledges her pain. And then says that, if you can't forgive me, I'll be waiting.
Yeah, and he also, I think it's this in his accepting responsibility. He does say that his ignorance was an excuse. And so, which is really, I think, especially as far as Supernatural goes, a really good apology. He acknowledges his fault with I did something, I acknowledge that I was wrong, and I accept that you may not be able to forgive me, but I'm here to take my punishment, which is, pretty good for them. And she thanks him and walks off.
So we go back to the bunker where Sam, Dean, and Castiel are having post hunt beers, basically. Even though it wasn't really a hunt, but it was. And then they decide to talk why Dean was so upset about the Billy situation. He acknowledges, he's like, cosmic consequences always bite us in the ass, and I'm upset about it. I know you thought it was a good choice, and Castiel stands by it was a good choice, even if
no regrets.
No regrets. No regrets. So they're going to pivot back to looking for Kelly and the Nephilim. And Castiel explains that this is not a normal Nephilim because it's Lucifer's fucking baby.
It's an archangel's baby.
Yeah. And
but Sam's like,
got the point. He's like, so are you gonna be able to kill a mom and her kid?
Yeah, because it's still, even though it's an archangel, it's still a human mom with a baby inside her, and it's a baby. And that I don't really like how Cass is like, at one point I would have hesitated, but now question mark?
Yeah. And they're like, well, now we're just going to have a drink and hope we find a better way.
Let's drink and hope we find a better way. This is a motto I can get behind. Let's drink and hope we find a better way.
I appreciate that. Is that our new toast?
That's our new motto, right? When things look tough, just drink and hope you find a better way. Oh, okay. So Lily Sunder had no regrets, but she did have an actress, and we like to tell the people who play Lily Sunders and the others.
Yes. So Lily Sunder was played by Alicia Witt. She's pretty well known. She's been in a lot of stuff. For example, in 2023, she was on The Masked Singer as Starlight, but she's been in multiple episodes of Twin Peaks, Sybil, Sopranos, Ally McBeal, Law and Order, Criminal Intent.
Fun fact, that Sybil, she was in with Jensen Ackles.
Funny. That's funny. 2.5 Men, CSI Miami, The Mentalist, Elementary, Walking Dead, and Nashville. Quite a few episodes of Nashville, and some singing in there too. She was Aaliyah in the 1984 Dune, Eva in 4 Rooms, Gertrude in Mr. Holland's Opus, Natalie in Urban Legend, Cherish in Cecil B. Demented, Libby in Vanilla Sky, Cheryl in Friday Night Lights as a reoccurring character, Wendy in Justified as a reoccurring character, Zelda in Orange is the New Black as a reoccurring character. Recent biggest billing was Ruth in Longlegs. Isham was played by Ian Tracy. He's been in episodes of 21 Jump Street, X-Files, Smallville, 4400, Wayward Pines, The Order, Fire Country, and The Good Doctor. He was Huckleberry Finn in Huckleberry Finn and His Friends back in the early 80s. He really
does look like a Huckleberry Finn. He just does. I can
see it. He was a soldier in Time Cop. He was the Rolling Stone editor in Prozac Nation, Bull Shark in the film Elektra, a recurring character named Bolin in the show Hell on Wheels, Ludlow in the movie Man of Steel, Remo in Bates Motel as a regular character, Ray in The Travelers as a recurring character, plays Sally Port in Peter Pan and Wendy. It's the newer Disney movie. And then Sheriff Baxter in the Netflix series School Spirits. Benjamin was played by Miranda Edwards. She's been in episodes of Good Doctor, Ghost Wars, Arrow, Van Helsing, Nancy Drew, Kung Fu, and Reginald the Vampire. She's the Michigan girl in Mean Girls, the old Mean Girls. Heloise in The Magicians was a regular character. Iris in The Dead Boy Detectives a couple times, and Lights in The Snowpiercer as a regular role. Akabel was played by Nils Hognestad. She's been in episodes of Almost Human, Once Upon a Time, Ghost Wars, and Blockbuster. Mirabelle was played by Tiara Sorensen. She's been in episodes of Arrow, Light Unseen, and Yellow Jackets, and she was a hostess in 50 Shades Freed. Faye was played by Ava Joy, who's been in episodes of C and The Night Agent. She plays young Beth in Batwoman series. Young Castiel, our other vessel, was played by Jessa Danielson, and been in episodes of Tomorrow People and Once Upon a Time additionally. So there we go.
Very cool. Yeah, and it was a big cast too. I mean, in terms of getting Alicia Witt in there was, a big pull, which I think I read something about that, but I think she was really good for that character. And it's also really nice to have a strong female she's not in protagonist, I would say, because she's not a villain and she's not a hero, right?
Neither.
Hero, to quote Dean Winchester, hero.
Her as Asa Fox, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Well, and he wrote Dead Boy Detectives too, which I thought was interesting since she was in that.
Yeah, super dark. I'm like, I mean, and I appreciate.
I think it's interesting you bringing that up too, because Asa Fox too was also like a whole person's storyline, right? Encapsulated, not just a monster of the week, but a whole person of the week.
Yeah.
And this is Lily Sunder. Like, we saw her whole storyline from front to back with all the tragedy in between. It still mixes in with the season. We're still on track, and I think it's also a really clever way to further explain what the Nephilim canon is, and then to kind of yank the carpet out from underneath you too, thinking that you are like, oh, we're talking about a Nephilim, and that's it's like, oh, nope, we're still not seeing that.
Angels or dicks, just still angels or dicks.
Yeah. And just Isham, that's just a horrific. It was just also just really kind of reminded me of a supernatural version of domestic violence and stalking, and that's also just that layer of ick, right? That makes it
gaslighty, gross.
Just the whole minute, just like, I thought she got love bombed by an angel that she thought was perfect, and then he turned out to be a monster. I
don't like it. It was upsetting.
Yeah. And what is a lesson you take? Don't trust anybody. Wait, no, that's
is that.
Oh damn! I need to go back to therapy. It's like, why is that the lesson you always take? I'm like, well, it's not. I'm sure Lily Sunder could teach. I mean, like I really also enjoyed just I'm powerful. Like, it's always kind of nice.
The transition from somebody telling you you're powerless
to
then changing it, then being like, no, I'll never be powerless again.
Yeah. And, what are the things that you give up to do that? And so we're seeing, we're dealing with the cosmic consequences of what Cass did, but also, we see the same thing with Lily Sunder with the consequences that she took for her revenge. Right. She's like, she's willing to lose her soul for this. And we don't know, like, now that her revenge is done, what do you do now that you know all this Nokian magic, and do you teach it to people? Do you keep it to yourself? I don't know.
And she said,
I would become a cult leader. That's what I would do.
That's reasonable.
Yeah, because you wouldn't care a lot anyways. I'd be more fine fleecing people because I wouldn't have a soul.
It makes sense.
All right, I think that's always on. Let's start a cult is always a good note to end this. All right, cheers, jerk.
Cheers, bitch.